Hi guys, welcome back to the CODI cast, and today I have a very special guest who is a gentleman I like to call Pencils because, well, I'm going to have to explain the story now probably.
I think you're going to have to explain the story. They're going to be interpreted multiple ways.
I know, and none of them good.
None of them positive.
But welcome to the show, Alex Louey. You are the co-founder of Appscore. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
Woohoo, listen to our studio audience. They're going absolutely wild for you,
nuts.
Pencils. Absolutely. Calm down, ladies. Calm down. He's married. Jesus. But thank you so much for joining us today. I've got a few little stories that I want to talk about today.
Here we go.
Yeah. None of them are good. This is an expose. No, just kidding. So I actually started working with your business partner. The one and only, thank God, there's only one, yep. Nick Bell. And I was telling my friend Mia, who's the founder of Moxie, about the fact I was working with him, and she goes, I think he works with my friend Alex Louey. He's amazing, really lovely guy. I was like, oh my God, super excited to meet Alex Louey, the famous Alex Louey. And then so I met you, and I had no idea. I thought you hated me. Like, I didn't know how to read you at first. And I said to Mia, I met Alex and I don't think he liked me at all. Like, I was like really scared because like I was trying to make a good impression. So you said all these amazing things about him and I could not read him at all. And then
everything she says, right, I am quite amazing. But you know, and if I could just reflect on that, I think the first time you came into the office, you sort of came in like a bit of a whirlwind.
Oh my God, that sounds 100% right.
I've got to admit, right? Like she was like dressed up, high heels, always impeccable hair, the eyes, and I was like, oh my God, who the fuck's this? She looks important, right? And I'm like, maybe it's an important customer that Nick's dealing with, right? So I won't say anything stupid. I won't make any jokes. I won't microwave my food in front of her. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to stay away. She looks important. I will just do my work and read these legal documents and just disappear. So yeah, that's probably why.
That makes a lot of sense. But I must say, since I've gotten to know you, I love you. Like, you're honestly amazing. You're it's like almost like, I don't know if gentle's the right word, but you're just so calm all the time.
Gentle.
Yeah, but not
I
like
am very gentle.
Yeah, but like you're just like a beautiful human being. Inside, not so much outside, but inside. Just kidding. But I do talk about you with Nick every now and then, and we both just think you're just a really good human being, and that's really actually quite rare, which is quite sad.
And you know what? He actually says the same about you.
That's very rare. That's
it's super rare. I have never heard him say that about anybody. And he's like, oh, Lisa, you know, because you know, you know a lot of people, and you know, you help us out with a lot of the social media, with ideas and all that sort of jazz. And you never ask for anything in return, right? You do introductions, and you know, it took me a little while to actually find out who you were. Right? She's
right? Not important after all. I can microwave my lunch in front of her.
and it took me a little while to work out who you were, and then you know, but yourself, you have a very, you know, you're very genuine about your stuff, right? You do intros and you never ask for anything in return. You know what? It just doesn't happen in business these days, right? Somebody always wants something, right? And that's, you know, and yes, and that's I think that's an amazing quality. That's amazing quality in business these days, because, you know, business can be very cutthroat, and you know, good people like yourself are just rare.
Oh, thank you. I'll
there we
pay
go.
you later.
We've given each other a pat on the back, and now we can get back to real content.
Yeah, back to caning each other.
Yeah.
So I do have to explain Pencils, because I was doing some LinkedIn training actually. And I thought, you know what I like to do is give examples of bad LinkedIn profiles. And then I thought, I'll have a look at Alex's, see what he's up to. Nick's was terrible, by the way. And so Alex runs a digital company. And so I go into Alex's profile, and then great headshot. Love the headshot. Kudos to you. But why did you have a picture of pencils in your banner when you run a digital company? I was like, that is like the least relevant image.
Yeah, I think I've grown a lot since then, since I first set up my LinkedIn profile. And when I first set it up, I was like, oh, this is going to be like MySpace.
Yeah.
I'm going to set it up. Nobody's going to get on it. And this was ages ago. I don't even know how old my profile is. And I was like, you know what? And they had some standard banners.
Yeah.
And pencils was like the first one. Right?
Oh, was that like a standard LinkedIn banner?
It was a standard. It was when you created your profile, right? It's this, and you click like, and you had a choice of like, I don't know, maybe one was pencils and the other one was like, I don't know, paintbrushes, whatever it was, right? And I was like, you know what, pencils.
Pencils it is.
I just clicked on the first one and it stayed there for probably about 5 years. Until
Oh my God. So that's like actually a vintage LinkedIn banner.
It is. Until I met you and then you told me how disgusting that was, that I had a digital company and I had pencils. So I thought it was quite creative. Artists use pencils. People use pencils to do stuff. And,
you're supposed to use keyboards.
I do.
And mice.
Mouses. I do a lot, but I do also have a notebook as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm praying that I have somewhere the record of your original LinkedIn profile saved as a screenshot somewhere. I've got Nick's somewhere, and his was equally as bad. He had in that hideous pink font, "Get shit done." Remember? That was disgusting too. So I'm so glad that you guys have had a bit of a glow up since then.
Well, until I've recently cleaned up. I've recently cleaned up some stuff on the, you know when you search for your name.
Oh no! What's popped up for Alex Louey?
Nothing bad, right? But for some reason, my MySpace profile was still open to public.
Oh my God!
So I had no idea.
Please tell me it's still there.
Yeah, I shut it down quickly.
Oh no!
So what happened was, I think one of your team was like doing something, trying to find a photo or something to do something with it, right? And they jumped on LinkedIn, and Nick jumped on LinkedIn as well. And jumped on Google to search Alex Louey, and my MySpace profile.
That is hilarious.
And I was like, what the F, right? So by then, Nick had already sent it through the entire company. It was like an all-staff email, right? Check Lex out in, I don't know, it would have been like 2005, whatever it is. So yeah, I jumped on, logged into my MySpace profile, reset my password, made it not visible to the internet, and just prayed that it would actually disappear. Right. Otherwise, I would need to use Remove-ify.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, to get rid of that.
Yeah. So, but I think after about a week, it did disappear.
That's pretty gutsy of Nick to send that to everyone, considering how much dirt and bad photos you've got on him.
Oh, the guy's relentless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No forethought.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I hope you get some great revenge on him.
I do.
Yeah. Great. So and feel free to send us any daggy photos of Nick you want us to include in this.
I've got a lot on my phone.
Okay, great.
I will show you.
Yeah. Please send them away, and we'll
after this podcast.
Yeah, we'll include them in the podcast.
As the cover page.
Yeah, exactly. The thumbnail.
Yeah.
So I actually have learnt a lot about the tech side from you, because you're obviously, and you've worked with some incredible companies. Feel free to name drop a few if you want to.
NAB, Telstra, Mercedes-Benz, a few others. We've done a few. Medibank.
Yeah,
we've done a few stuff.
You've got some really blue chip companies.
Yeah.
And in terms of Appscore, what do you actually do for these guys?
So, as a company, we do digital consulting, right? And I know that's a very broad term, and when you think consulting, you think Deloitte and all that sort of stuff. But we focus on the digital side. We've got an advisory team, right? What they do is they come in and help, I guess, businesses or government and businesses, turn business problems into digital products or digital products that can solve it, right? Because a lot of people solve things with, just throw some technology at it, which often doesn't work. A lot of companies do that. What we try to do is sort of put a company first, put a user first, as opposed to going, hey, implement SAP, hey, implement this, implement that, right? Because we're bespoke, right? We don't push any particular product or platform or anything like that. We're all about trying to find out what customer's business problem is, and let's call it put in whichever product or service that helps them solve that. That's a long and short what we do from a strategy and consulting. The other thing that we sort of do is, in the technology, it's mobile, web, cloud, data. We start off as a mobile company, But now mobile is just a component of a digital experience. So we saw that a while ago. So that's why we expanded our capability to all those other areas as well. Because if we just stayed a mobile company, I would probably be working at Coles right now. Mind you, I think Coles is one of our customers as well.
Shout out to Coles.
Not that there's any problem working with Coles.
I could totally imagine you as a checkout chick.
Checkout chick or a deli boy
or a shelf stacker.
Yeah. No, I'm bad at completing things. So it wouldn't be good. I wouldn't be good at a shelf stacker. It'd be half stacked.
Half stacked, yeah. And I'd be like, where did he go? He's just gone off to do something else. It's actually interesting that you think you're not good at completing things because you work with Nick. Yeah. And I would say that he's great at just like getting things started and then delegating it to someone else.
It's an interesting dynamic. I've gotten to know Nick very well over the last 15 years or so. I think I start things and I start a lot of things, but I've taken the conscious effort of trying to complete them as well.
That's good.
So I often come up with ideas that then I handball to my team to do. But sometimes I find that I need to stay on top of it and keep engaged. And sometimes that's when I fall down. Like if I've got a short attention span, right? So if I start reading a legal document, I'll get halfway through and you know what? Time for a cookie. So I'll go grab a cookie and then I'll read another 2 pages, right? Because reading legal documents are dry, right? And I read a lot of them because we have enterprise customers. So
I was a lawyer. That was really freaking dry.
Really?
Yeah, I was a tax lawyer. Can you imagine?
It's worse.
What's drier than being a lawyer? Being a tax lawyer. Oh,
Oh
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Can you do my tax return?
That's what everyone used to ask me. I don't even do my own tax return. How embarrassing.
So, yeah, so I'm actively trying to work on working through the end before I lose interest. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, some good ideas, some bad ideas, but the most important thing is you take it to the end and then work out whether it's good or bad. Otherwise, you start a million things, nothing ever finishes and you never get anywhere. So, look, I've been pretty lucky that I've been able to do what I do and still achieve things. But I think this year I'll make a conscious effort to stay more focused.
You've got a great team around you, I must say.
Yeah, I've got really good team, and that's not just people that work with me, but or work for me, but also people that I work with, like yourselves. I've got some great mates that are in business as well. Jonathan Horn, I think you know him.
Jono Horn, shout out Jono Horn.
Shout out to CyberAware.
He gave me a T-shirt. I should have worn it today.
You should have.
Little plug.
So yeah, it's not just about me and the people that work for me, but it's also I think the people that you associate with.
Yeah, and who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can I say one amazing thing about you, which I really love?
You've said a lot already. But you can say a few. One
You're paying
more.
me though, aren't you? Per comment.
It's PPC, pay per comment.
Pay per comment.
Yeah,
positive comment. Pay per positive comment. So I want to say that you're one of the most self-aware people that I've met. Okay. And you're always working on yourself, which I think is really important, especially as a business owner. Because I think a lot of them have big egos and they think they know everything, they think they're right. Whereas you really take the time to reflect and you're always wanting to improve. And I can almost, sometimes when I talk to you, I can almost see the cogs in your brain turning. Like you don't jump in and say silly things. Like you're very considered, which I really love. I think that everything you do it with like some sort of intent and purpose. So
I try to. And this is what I mean. There's it's the people that you surround yourself with. I haven't always been like that. Like I always have intention to make myself better and grow and all that sort of jazz. And I generally don't have an ego, and I'm happy to speak last. But then I read all these books and I watch all these TED Talks. I watch a TED Talk maybe twice a week.
Oh, amazing!
When I'm sitting at home, some of it's just
garbage.
Some of it's garbage, right? Some of it is quite interesting, and I always walk away with one or two pieces of stuff that I can add to, I guess, constantly improving myself. And I just find that there's always someone better, right? And if you're in business, there's always someone working harder than you. Yeah. There's always someone that's better than you, right? And all you can do is continually improve, because if you don't continually improve, you're falling behind. So it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's Did I wake up half an hour earlier every morning so I get more done, or I just work half an hour later, or whatever it may be? Or, you know, one thing I actually heard that was quite interesting was, you know what, everybody likes being heard. Hence, funnily enough, we're on a podcast at the moment. Everybody likes to talk, right? But, you know, often it's, you know, sometimes being a good leader is being the last to talk, right? And the benefit is that you hear everybody else's opinion, right? So, you know, if I'm in a meeting, my opinion doesn't necessarily become the default outcome, right? Which often happens if you're a leader, because people go, all right, they're the boss, whatever they say goes, right? But often what happens is, you know, be the last to talk, and it's actually really hard, right? If someone has an opinion, right, and you're sitting there going, and you're prejudging that person or your form, but if you're the last to talk, you get to hear everybody else's opinion. You have time to consider what everybody else has said, and you have time to make up your mind whether you're right or wrong. And I'm always happy to be wrong, but I'm always going to make you prove that I'm wrong, because I like being right as well. But I'm happy to be wrong. If you can convince me that I'm wrong, and we have these discussions with Nick all the time.
He likes being right too.
He likes being right. But you know what? One thing I've learned on him is actually quite, you know, in terms of, he can be a bit of a sledgehammer sometimes.
You
right?
think?
He just
sometimes.
A lot of the time he just says what is on his mind, right? But he's actually been. I've seen him in a lot of meetings where he delivers his opinion very well, right? In terms of, it's almost suggestive, as opposed to saying, hey, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, have you thought about this? And I was like, oh, I didn't expect that from you. I expected you just sorry, I shouldn't swear. I expected you to just come out. Yeah, I'd expect you to just come out and then, you know, I think it's a change in him over time, as he's, you know, grown himself. I know he reads a lot of books. Well, he tells me he reads a lot of books. I don't know if he actually does.
He reads like a book a year. He's so slow at reading.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, is he slow at reading or typing? Because he types with 2 fingers.
He does type with 2 fingers.
How can a guy run a tech company and type with 2 fingers?
He says he's got fast fingers. So
and we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. So no, he's, you know, and that's a, you know, that's another quality. Like sometimes when I get in heated discussions, right, I get passionate and I get loud and I can be a bit too forceful. Whereas sometimes it's good to just, you know, sit back and keep calm, and, you know, and sometimes you get a bit more with honey than a stick. Is that the?
It's absolutely not it. It's a carrot.
Carrot. Sorry. What's that? You get what you want with a carrot rather than a stick, or a honey. One or the other.
Lucky we're not getting you on here for your knowledge of quotes, thank God.
I used one the other day in my leadership team meeting, right?
No, you're one of those people who uses them totally wrong.
No, what was it? I think it was like, if a bear shits in the wood, do you
hear it? Or something? Oh, shit. That's totally wrong.
It's completely wrong. I think that's a joke as opposed to a quote. So I used that, and I lost. I think I lost
a lot of respect.
At least half the room's respect. Had I not been the boss, I would have lost complete respect.
You are the worst. Okay, we're not getting you on to do quotes next time. But lucky we do have you on to talk about trends in digital and data. So in terms of, I guess, the biggest trends you're seeing in the space at the moment, can you share a couple of those?
Yeah. So, you know, it's no secret that everybody is trying to become a data company. You know, banks are trying to be data companies, you know, retail are trying, because there's so much information to be gained. And insurance companies, you know, they've got so much. We spoke to one recently, which I won't tell you who with, but it's one of the major ones, right? One of the major underwriters, and they've got so much data on everybody. But the biggest challenge is that because these companies didn't start as data companies, their biggest challenge is trying to pull it all together and interpret it. And this is no news for anybody. The biggest value of data is when people can make decisions from it. Having data for the sake of data is just pointless, right? So you've got all these, you know, this particular insurance company, when we spoke to them, they were like, we've got so much data on everybody, including you. And nah, just kidding. And but they're so different, they're so disparate that it's hard for them to make decisions. So, whereas if you think of a company like Facebook and Google, they started as data companies. Right? That's all they ever do. They just mine the data and repeat. And so that's the biggest trend is, firstly, pulling the data together, making sense of it. But the hardest part is, how to make decisions from it. Right?
Yes.
So it's the data is the base thing, and then the analytics and visualization is an area that a lot of companies are putting a lot of investment in, because you can have the best data in the world, but if it's just numbers and nobody can make decisions from it, and especially executives, if they look at it and they don't know what it's about, you're not going to get any growth. Right? You're not going to get any change.
And that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges with companies, because they get, they pay for lots of research on data and analytics and everything, and they literally just don't do anything with it because they don't have the time or they don't make it a priority. So then it just sits there. It's like, that's great, but then it's useless if you're not going to use it.
Yeah.
So do you have any examples of companies that are doing data well and actually taking that digital knowledge and then... No?
No.
Facebook?
Yeah. We've seen a lot of companies come a long way. There's a lot of intent. So we're working with a major retailer at the moment to improve their... And I won't give you names because most of this is pretty confidential, but I can tell you they're in retail, and we're working them, and all they're trying to do is understand their customers better, right, from cradle to grave. So what I'm talking about is, they want to know where in the buying cycle does a customer start with them, where do they finish, where there's drop off and so forth, right? And so that's been a really interesting journey for them. They're a white goods company. They're a global white goods company, but they don't typically, compared to their competitors, they do their own retailing as well. So for them, that was a really new piece of thing that they're approaching. But they're on the right track because they're small enough and fresh enough to the journey that we can start fresh from them. Right? A lot of our other clients, they're so entrenched and they've done so much already that you're sort of chipping away at the edges. So yeah, that's the whole sort of data landscape. Most of it is in the visualization, but there's a lot of fixing as well, and it's just endless. It's just absolutely endless.
And it must be fun as well, because each industry is so different. So I guess the way you engage and interpret data for someone buying, or for customers buying white goods, is so different to, say, a fashion company. So with fashion, you can just literally be hitting up your customers pretty much all the time because they're wanting the latest trends. They want to spend, or there's definitely a portion that would. But for white goods, it's almost like you buy your washing machine.
Yep.
And then how do you then keep that customer engaged or then get them to buy again?
Yep. So this particular company is actually quite smart. A lot of their products are sold with subscriptions, right, to services, right? So it's not a once-off. So if you walk into Harvey Norman and you buy a fridge, you buy it and then you're gone, right? But this particular company, there's a lot of ongoing services that get supplied with it. It is a top-end brand, so they do play at the higher end of the market. So it's really interesting. But back to your point of the companies that do data well, often are the companies that start in the digital age.
Yes,
right? So if you look at, you guys would have a lot of clients that do that have always been online, where, if you set up a website, you can track everything from conversions to viewing and all that, right? So if you think of, companies like, I guess...
Like Amazon,
Canva, even, a retail company like Showpo, right? They do everything online. Right, so those companies have an easy starting point. Whereas if you talk about most of what typically are our type of customers, if you talk to a bank, they're a behemoth. They've got so much stuff that it's just hard to get stuff done. Not impossible, right? But it's a lot more challenging. So, but at the same time, they've got a lot bigger budgets to hire the best.
And the best is Appscore.
And the best is Appscore.
We'll make sure we put your details in the show notes so people can get in contact with you. So in terms of starting a business, so is Appscore your first business?
Appscore is my first business.
Oh, good on you. How long have you been doing Appscore for? 10 years?
11
years.
We started in 2010, so that makes
congratulations.
it 11, I think.
Yeah, that's huge. So what are the top 3 things you've learnt since starting
The top three
Appscore.
things I've learnt is
How to work with Nick, number one.
How to work with Nick. That's number 0. No, I think a business goes through stages, right? You've got the early startup is absolutely challenging, and that was probably the hardest phase. At that phase, I think it takes a lot of resilience, takes a lot of being beat up and then getting back up, and then you really need to stay focused, because it's virtually, I mean, you know what it's like, right? You're landing your first customer is like hitting the jackpot. Right. The only problem is that first customers, you've cut the margins so thin that they're actually not making money.
You're working for free.
You're
You're losing money.
Yeah, you're virtually paying them, right? So I think that my first lesson is you've just got to be absolutely resilient if you're going to start a business. You have to be resourceful, right? Because you haven't got money to hire everybody under the sun. You haven't got somebody to hire a designer, to hire an engineer, an architect, ops manager, and all that sort of stuff. That comes later if you get through the first couple of years. But one thing that I've really, that I think is really important is picking the right team, right? And that's something that I realised a couple of years ago. Like, we had people that we could rely on, that were solid, but as your company go through stages from let's say 5 to 10 people to 50 to 100 to 200, you need different people, right? Because some people can top out, right, in terms of their capability. So the most important of being a founder is that you choose the right team for, let's call it, the next 5 years, right? And having the right people with the right attitude, the right culture, and everything that fits with where you're going to be. Because if you don't have the right vision, right, or if your values don't align, it can make things very challenging. And we've had situations where values haven't aligned with certain people that have been with us a long time, and you know what, we make the decision, that it's maybe we're not the company for them anymore, because I think cultural values are absolutely critical. How many is that? Is that 2, 3, 5?
I think 2.
2?
Yep.
So you got one more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fuck. I only got 2.
You only learn 2 things in business.
Only prepared for 2. The good old 3, hey? Gets you every time.
Tell us what you've learned about working with Nick, because it's hard working with a business partner.
Working with a business partner is really difficult, and I've seen some business relationships go really bad, and I've also seen business relationships go well as well. I think one of the key things working with Nick it's always been about the business. Neither Nick or myself have an ego, so we don't need to be right. Right? We're also willing to bet on the other guy. Right? So I know that it's impossible for everybody to be always right. You can think you're always right, but the chances are you're not. Right? So, and we've always had that understanding. Sometimes I go, oh fuck, I don't think that's the right thing, Nick, but inside I go, you know what, let's just go with it and see what we can make of it, right? Because it's often what you make of your decision as opposed to necessarily what the decision is, right? We could have just as easily made the decision to go mid-market, and we would have made something of that as the decision to go top end and an enterprise, right? So it's what you make of it. But I think one of the things that, I've had a few people ask me that question is, I've been pretty lucky to find Nick as a business partner, and I'm pretty sure he feels the same.
He does.
No,
he probably won't admit it, but he does.
He probably won't. No, look, I have been very lucky in terms of having him as a business partner, because we're friends first and foremost, right? And if we make money together, great. If we lose money together, not so great. But we don't go, that was your fault, that was your fault.
Yeah.
If we did this would, it's like we're a partnership, right? And it's joint decisions, right? Nobody's always right. He's made some bad decisions, I've made some bad decisions, I've made some good decisions, he's made some good ones as well. So if you balance it all out, right, it's sort of how it works. But the most important thing is we're friends first and foremost, and then business is, just the cherry on top. And if we're successful, even better.
Oh, that's beautiful.
See,
Love that.
I'm kind and gentle.
I have to say, a shout out to Nick. He is actually really good to work with, which is surprising.
Oh, most of the time he is. Sometimes sometimes you throw these one-liners out there. Right? You got to look at the detail. I'm like, dude, have you seen your email recently? Have you even reread it?
He doesn't even read emails half the time. Doesn't read messages.
It's like, nah, it's the finer detail. It's the 1%. I was like, dude, have you seen that deck you put out? Do you even know what the topic is today?
Oh my God, he's the worst.
Yeah.
But no, he's actually he's good to work with, and I've definitely enjoyed seeing your dynamic in your relationship, because like we did a video series of you two last week, and you can see that there's like a lot of respect between you two, and I think that's super important.
Absolutely.
So,
what about you? What about what about your working relationship with Nick?
Oh, how long do we have? And can some stuff be censored out? No. What's it like working with Nick? He's really surprising, to be honest, because I thought he'd have a massive ego, because he's obviously achieved a lot in business, and he's actually got one of the smallest egos I've ever seen.
You're going to say something else.
He's just got a really small ego. But in all seriousness, like, you know, I think it goes back to like what you were saying. It's like I think both of us know that we're not always going to be right all the time. So it's picking your battles. So, you know, I think if one of us wants to really go for something, then the other just goes, okay, sure, if you really want it, then we'll just give it a go and try our best. But I think the one thing that I love about him is he always makes time to help. Yeah, so he's one of the busiest people I know. And if I ever need a hand with anything, he'll always, you know, be there to help. And that's, you know, I think an amazing quality, especially for someone who's got, you know, juggling 1,000,001 things. So, yeah, I have to say it's been really fun. We have a lot of fun together. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. That's very kind of you. That's a plug for Nick.
Yeah.
It's a couple more Instagram followers there.
So Nick owes us a little bit of money, both of us, for that shout out. So I actually feel like I want to just keep talking, but I know you've got a company to run, an empire to run. So I'm going to finish up with 5 quick questions.
Here we go.
They're all going to be really hard. No, they're not. Firstly, can I also say I really hope that there's a photo of this, because it'd be great to overlay it in the video. I loved your costume at the Christmas party a couple of years ago. So, yeah. Firstly, though, you guys thought of the most annoying, what was it, dress code for women. What was the theme? It was something really specific, like action stars from the 70s. I'm like, guys, there's literally only Wonder Woman. Like,
yeah, it was. I think it was like superheroes.
It was just something really niche, because you guys clearly just wanted, Nick just clearly wanted to go as Rocky or something. Yeah. I'm like, who did this theme? It was terrible. And you went as Mr. Miyagi.
I did. I went as Mr. Miyagi. Yeah, no, Mr. Miyagi was an easy one. I was.
Yeah, you put a headband on, I think.
I put a headband on, and I put a karate. I was like, you know what? I'm Asian, and it's just gonna be easy. And then, you know what? When I go out, when we go out afterwards, you know, I don't have to take my makeup off or whatever it is. And I remember you came as Wonder Woman.
I did.
You did. I think it was quite a hit.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was not the wisest choice, considering it was like 40 degrees that day, and it was like
stinker.
A velvet outfit and then plastic boots. But I was like, I'm going to commit. Got to go the full.
You got to go the whole hog.
The full outfit. So that was actually a fun party. So hopefully this year's party will be equally as fun.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
But please let me have some contribution to the dress code, because otherwise there'll be no options for women.
No.
Okay, so I know that you always have, and like you said, you've got 1,000,001 ideas. So you've got all of these thoughts running through your head, and you want to start a million things. I think you and I probably both suffer from shiny object syndrome. Yep. We're just always like, ooh, there's something new, let's go and chase it. So what's your process when you actually think of an idea?
You know, I heard this once it was at a seminar by the guy that wrote the 4 Prince. Oh, fuck, I can't even remember his name.
The 4 Disciplines.
4 Disciplines.
Chris
you
McChesney.
Were there. Yes, you were there.
Yeah.
There you go. Another plug for Chris. And one of the things he said was, you know, everybody's got ideas. Everybody's got good ideas. There's always a million good ideas, but you're never gonna. If you say yes to everything, then you're not going to achieve anything. So, whenever I have a good idea, I like to think whether, first of all, it's achievable. Right. It needs to be a bit of a stretch, right? But I like to think whether it's achievable and how long, and have I got the bandwidth for it, and have I got the capability, right, to see it all the way through. Yeah. Because as you said, I've got a day job. My team has a day job. and I think it was from Chris, he said, you know what, everybody's got a day job, so you've only got 20% of your time to actually make any change.
Yeah.
So if you say yes to everything, or even, 5 out of the 10, who's going to do them? So I look at capacity, look at the impact, but it's always, I always choose a couple of easy ones and a couple of longer term ones. And, I try to keep, for any quarter, I try to limit to three main things. That's it.
Amazing. It's a good one. I want to take that on board. I was actually at that talk and that was good.
Yeah, Chris was good.
He's a legend.
He was intense.
He was, very intense.
Good speaker.
Yeah, really good speaker though, I have to say. Very captivating. Okay, next question. If you could give your 20-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be other than dress better?
Oh, I was going to say that. Dress better. So you don't know, Lisa gives me shit about my hoodie all the time. So during COVID, I got stuck in Hoodieville.
Honestly.
I wore this one hoodie from, I think it was Grip Gym in South Yarra. It's my favourite hoodie because it's just really good material, even though I've never been there. And I just wore that every day.
I know, I saw your LinkedIn videos. I was like, this is going on LinkedIn. At least get changed out of that bloody red hoodie. And then actually we were doing a Aaron Wood. So when I was running for Deputy Lord Mayor, so we did a bit of a talk for a group of people, and you, I think you helped maybe organise
that's right,
it. Yeah. And I rocked up to the talk. It's like, and Aaron at the time was like the Deputy Lord Mayor. And then I rock up to the talk. It was just on Zoom, and you're wearing a bloody hoodie. I was like, at least dress up for like the Deputy Lord Mayor of Melbourne.
I should have.
So disappointing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was texting you. I was like, could you have at least gotten put a shirt on or something?
Yeah. I think if I was to give my 20-year-old self a bit of advice, it would be, school's not everything. I think having done what I've done, I think often education puts you on a path that you may or may not want to be, right? So you study really hard and you try to get really good grades, but at the end of the day, when you get into the workforce, right, it's not your grades that matter, right? For don't get me wrong, for some things it does, right? I don't know, for law, I'm sure you have to be pretty smart to do law, to do tax law,
really.
even smarter. If you were to be an engineer to build a plane, you probably have to be pretty smart. But I think a lot of people don't invest enough time into their street smarts, right? The ability to talk to strangers, the ability to talk to a lot of people. I know you do it very well, right? I think over, over breakfast when you, myself and Mia were sitting down, like she said that, for her to get on Clubhouse or whatever it is, right? She needs to make sure all the stars are aligned and everything's just, everything's perfect, and she has to have the right cup of tea or whatever it may be, whereas you just jump on and start talking. And I think that's amazing. And I think, I think if, I focused, or, if I was to give myself advice, is like invest as much time in street smarts and selling yourself and being more comfortable being around people, because when you start a business or when you work in the corporate, right, the more people that you can get to, not necessarily but the more people that you gel with, that you're comfortable with, the more it's going to accelerate your career or your business, right? Because you could be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't talk to anybody, your idea, your business is going to go nowhere. Yeah.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I probably used to be an introvert. I wouldn't say I'm an extrovert. I'm an out of the closet introvert? Is that a thing?
I'm pretty sure that's a wrong quote as well.
That's a wrong quote as well. Are
you coming out of the closet? Is that what you're saying?
No. Actually, no, I'm definitely not saying that. No, it's I'd say I used to be a lot more introverted, but now I'm just a lot more comfortable talking to people. And it took work, right? But part of it is having to run my own business. I had to go out and sell. Right? You can't. Being introverted and trying to sell is actually really difficult, right? So I just got on the phones and started, phone banging, right? And, going out and all that other stuff that comes with trying to grow up.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, I'm actually an introvert as well, and trying to run a business it's challenging as an introvert sometimes.
Yeah, because you can't, if you can't connect with your clients, dead.
You're toast.
And I'm not coming out of the closet, by the way.
I've got 2 more questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
The first question, or the second, I can't even talk. The second last question is, what is your spirit animal?
So I think we discussed this, and you said I was like an elephant, and I said, are you telling me that I'm a bit grey, a bit boring, a bit drab? and I need to go to the gym because I've got a big belly. And I was thinking, I like a flying horse. Is there a flying horse?
A Pegasus.
A Pegasus. There you go.
That is a very unusual answer.
It is. You know, I don't even know why. To be honest, I'm not a Pegasus. I can't fly, but I like things that are slightly different.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
And the Pegasus is slightly different. Or what's the other one that's half man, half horse?
Minotaur.
Minotaur.
Centaur. That's right. Thanks, Tom.
Is a centaur like a good guy or a bad guy? I like being a good guy. I don't like being a bad guy.
Yeah, I feel like you're definitely a good guy.
Yeah, I feel so too. So it's somewhere between a Pegasus and a mentor.
You're a mentor.
Just
a plug for listening.
A
Thanks.
centaur. Last question.
Last question. If you could have lunch with Nick or I, who would you prefer to have lunch with? I think very carefully because I got a glass of water here. I'm not afraid to use it.
I actually really enjoy having lunch by myself.
That's a very smart answer.
No, I would probably pick you, and I'd pick you because I get to see Nick more.
Okay.
I actually do see Nick a lot, sometimes a bit too much, but I actually, I just don't get to see you as much. Even though I talk to you on the phone a lot. Actually, I don't even do that. It's a complete lie. I probably talk to you on the phone once a month, but it's always been good.
Okay,
it's always
good.
Enjoyable.
Good.
It's
Okay, that's a great
fun.
adjective. Good. Okay.
Good. It's always been good. So I would probably have lunch with you because I see Nick more.
Okay. Oh, that's an acceptable answer.
How good's that for an answer?
You should be a politician.
I don't offend anybody, and I make everybody feel important.
I feel like you've missed your calling as a politician. So
I spoke to a politician recently. Amazing people, right? Literally, when they talk, it's like, oh my God, you're like the most amazing person I've ever spoken to because everything's so articulate. It's really interesting, and I think they've got amazing skills.
We were just talking about this. They can answer a question without actually answering a question.
It's amazing.
Like, how did you say? What? Hang on a second. You didn't answer the question at all. You just said a lot of stuff, and it sounded like you did. But then when you actually dig down deep, they said nothing. Yeah,
but it's that's such a skill, and I wish I could do that. Most of the time, I'm like, sometimes I lack a bit of internal monologue. So whatever I think just comes out, especially in negotiations, doesn't matter in social circumstances, right? So yeah, when something upsets me and I get angry, I start going a bit red and I start getting a bit the adrenaline starts pumping and I'm like, fuck.
Oh no.
So yeah, I wish I was a bit more like a politician. But I think what I said about lunch with you and Nick was pretty good.
I think that's a very good answer. So I want to say that's a real politician answer.
That is a real politician answer.
Yeah. So look, I'm happy to have lunch with you anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. As long as you pay. No, just kidding. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Always a pleasure talking to you.
No, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me and listen to my dribble. And
no, you always have great things to say.
I'm sure we'll have lunch very soon.
Yeah, just don't wear a hoodie.
Yes, just don't wear a hoodie.
Well, thank you so much, Alex. And we'll put all the details so you can follow Alex on social and you can check out Appscore. So please definitely get in touch if you need help with anything in the digital space to do with data.
That's it.
And stuff.
Data stuff, cloud, mobile stuff.
Yeah, any of those things, contact Alex. He's your man. Thanks, Alex.
See ya. Thank you. Bye-bye.